Honorable Pakstau, before we, you see, these dresses, I can't even see what kind of shoes you're wearing, because I was about to say before we hit the dance floor, so I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hit the dance floor with the shoes that you are concealing.
I think 𝐼𝐵 is just jealous that he doesn't have feathers, and I think we can sort that out a little bit later. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, your starters have already been plated, and we're going to get the show on the road by calling on the Honourable Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, the Honourable Minister 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿𝐵𝐿, who is going to come up and deliver our very first speech for this evening. Could we give him a warm round of applause as the Honourable Minister makes his way up, please?
I haven't seen it.
And we are, of course, scanning the room for the unmissable figure of the Honourable 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿𝐵𝐿, as we've called on him. And of course, failing which maybe the Minister is still engaged, we could maybe proceed to our panel discussion. But let's give it another call in the room. He's the Honourable Minister 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿𝐵𝐿, not quite seeing him in the room. So might I suggest that we proceed to our panel discussion, after which we will then allow the Minister to come and address us, please, 𝐼𝐵.
That will be fine, but I'm not so sure if indeed did the Minister hear you. Okay, the Minister is not.
Let us proceed with the panel discussion.
Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome on stage television personality and award-winning actress 𝐿erato Mvelase, and of course the captain of not Bafana Bafana, but the Bafana Bafana of cricket, okay. The Proteas, that is, Themba Bavuma. Please, let's give them a round of applause. Okay. I'm going to be a mic. Yeah. Take this one here. Yeah. Now. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome once more Mr. Themba Bavuma, and of course, the beautiful 𝐿erato Mvelase. Let's give them a round of applause, please. You know, the problem talking to artists, you never know if what they are saying is actually for real or they are in character acting. So I'm hoping that I'm going to get the best out of you, 𝐿erato. But Themba, also welcome my brother. The 6th edition of the South African Investment Conference. Sports and arts and culture are regarded as, you know, the soft skills industries. But looking at what sport can offer, not just domestically, but also internationally, what would you say? Maybe let me start with you, Themba, in terms of your area. I hope it is on. Is it? Can we get some assistance here regarding the microphones? I normally, I'm not. No. There we go. Needed a woman's touch. So, Yes, Themba, I was saying sports could be regarded as one of the soft skills sector. But looking at this 6th edition of the South African Investment Conference, what would you say from a sporting perspective sports has to offer in terms of investment?
Good evening, firstly, Dr. Mpho. Good evening to everyone. Look, sports is obviously all that I've known. I've been involved in sport from as young as I've been. I've always had the passion to be something within sports, and I've been fortunate enough to represent my country and also lead the country. I think the biggest thing for me with sports is its unifying factor, how we are able to, as a country, cut through our race, our ethnicity, our different backgrounds that we come with, and really find a great sense of joy in the success of us as a sporting team. My earliest memories was the 1995 World Cup, the iconic picture of Francois Pienaar, as well as Nelson Mandela lifting the trophy. A year later, 96, you had Bafana Bafana at the AFCON. And I mean, those moments really got us together and really allowed us as a country to almost kind of forget about the problems that we have in a country and really find a great sense of pride and joy in that moment. Within the cricketing side, we had that opportunity last year at the World Test Championship final, where at Lord's in the UK we had plenty of South Africans in the stadiums who were there to support us and obviously enjoy in that achievement as well. So sport from a unifying factor, from a role in terms of building social cohesion, is definitely a strong element in that. And I mean, like I said, from a pride point of view,
yeah,
from an escapism as a country point of view, it's played a big part.
Lerato, what would you say South Africa sells from your sector?
The creative sector is the economic pulse of this country. It's the cultural pulse of South Africa. And I think over the years, with my experience having done television and theater, I've realized that we have the most talented actors. Obviously, I speak from an actor's perspective,
yep,
including crew. And many of our productions have managed to be showcased overseas, and we've done extremely well. And in comparison to the international talent, you know, and I think they see for themselves that we've really placed ourselves as one of the destinations that has world-class talent. Yeah. Secondly, you know, South Africa is really a vibrant and colorful country. You know, you look at the landscape that we have in the Western Cape. We've got big studios that have shot both big local international productions. We've got studios in KZN, in Durban, with the vegetation, the warm weather, the warm oceans. And we've got Gauteng, Johannesburg, you know, the jungle city, with such a rich history of mining, of migrants coming into the country, into the city, I mean, of the politics of the country that has really put us on a map as one of the world-class countries.
Yeah.
And I think because of the vibrancy and the heart of the industry, we've really managed to put ourselves on the map, yeah, as an industry that is worth investing in.
But, you know, I'm sorry to interject there. One of the things that I've realized is that the creative space is not viewed as an economy as such. Where would you say the gap is in South Africa? Is it in studios? Is it in studio infrastructure? Is it in distribution? Is it in the ownership of intellectual property?
I mean, our regulations do need reform, as you heard with the president and everyone that had an opportunity to speak, that there's reforms that have been put in place to make it easy for businesses to come into the country and bring work, basically. When it comes to the creative sector, our disadvantage is that it's not necessarily a regulated industry. Where there is regulation, it is limited. And I had said earlier, it is outdated. It is not in line with where the economy of this country is going. And we need to get to a point where we develop more inclusive, more agile, and more responsive and future-oriented regulation frameworks. So that when people want to invest into the country, they feel that there is some type of structure. We're still battling with standardizing call rates for actors and for crew. We're still struggling with a bargaining power between the broadcasters and the creatives themselves. So if we can create some type of framework that makes it economically viable for those who want to invest, and there is fair distribution of financial gain, not only for broadcasters and channels and production companies, but for creatives, the actors themselves and the crew.
Themba, when you host a T20 or a World Cup, there of course are new facilities. But how do we make sure that they are not just white elephants and the investment is sustained to ensure that there's development in terms of talent, but also that those facilities do not just lay barren?
Yeah, I think, as South Africa, I think we've positioned ourselves globally competitive in hosting World Cup events. I just think of now recently, I think of the Live Golf that was hosted at Saint City. And that event was for a lot of us avid golfers, but also individuals who just want to be a part of the spectacle. And there was the aspect of the actual golf, but also the space around it, the fan engagement, the amenities that were there for people to really enjoy everything, not just about golf. And I think the confidence that we showed in our ability to host a world-class event like that will do a lot in terms of investor confidence. We have the opportunity next year within the cricketing side. We'll be hosting the 2027 World Cup, and look, I think, just speaking about it from a player point of view, there's a lot of excitement, but I think within the economy as well, we know what benefit that will yield from an investment point of view, from an infrastructure, the upgrading of stadiums around the country to ensure that they are at an adequate level, from a job creation point of view. So, the more and more that we are able to show our ability to host events at such magnitude, the more and more investment will come in. It seems as if investor confidence, it doesn't just stem from just the numbers, it doesn't just stem from the data, but it's a confidence that comes from our ability to host successful events. And I think, people want to be associated with success. I've seen it as well within the cricket. There's a lot more corporate sponsorship, not just locally, but more especially international. Radar tires, companies of those likes who are throwing their backing and support behind us as the Proteas. So our role as the players is to keep ensuring that the team is successful, is to keep winning, and hoping that all the other role players in the private sector, the government, their continued role in terms of governance, in terms of ensuring that the game grows and is sustainable. All of that takes place, but we'll keep trying to do what we need to do as players.
Lerato, if I'm an investor coming from Europe or the Americas, where would you say I must put my money in?
Because I'm somebody who's both in theatre and television and film, I would obviously say invest your money in theatre infrastructure. We do have some theatres that have obviously shut down, but lately you can see the life of theatre is coming back. Such as spaces as Johannesburg Theatre, the States Theatre, the Market Theatre, the Soweto Theatre. There's a lot of life that's happening in there. So, investing in spaces like that to make them a little more advanced in terms of showing technological part of what we can offer in the creative sector. So I would suggest investments go there. I would suggest that investments are made into the film industry, television and film industry, because there's a lot of beautiful, authentic stories that we tell. And as you've seen on platforms like Netflix and Showmax and all of the, well, it's now Canal Plus.
Yeah.
You know, we've had productions that have really kept with the standard of international level, and we've got many of our actors who've showcased their talent overseas in ways that has made the world look into us, because there is something about this country, there is a vibrancy and a cultural relevance that is worth investing into.
One word which you would say as an investor, or any of the investors who are seated here, should go away with?
Come and invest into the South African creative industry. Invest in our arts, because South Africa is one of those, as I said earlier, extremely vibrant in terms of our cultural offerings. Joburg, to be specific, because it's a place where many different South Africans have come together in language, in cultural attire, in storytelling, and yeah, come and invest in our stories, invest in our talent, invest in our infrastructure, because every single industry uses the creatives in some form or another, and we have contributed to many other industries' success.
Okay.
So it is only right that you pledge
Okay.
a couple of billions
All right.
into the arts industry.
Thank you very much, Lerato. Themba, one word which you would advise an investor to go away with?
I think I hope with everything that's been said that the cautious optimism or confidence that seems to be there, the perception around South Africa, the economy and everything, I hope that's been challenged. I hope that you've seen that there's a lot of potential behind South Africa, and the success in South Africa, whether it's be the sporting teams, whether it's been our ability to host World Cup events, will help greatly in bringing about that confidence. So that cautious optimism, I'd like that to be challenged.
Thank you very much. We have come to the end of our conversation, but thank you indeed, hoping that the esteemed guests here have heard your plea to invest in the it's not a soft economy.
No, it's the main economy.
In the main economy, that is the economy that brings the numbers, that is those who watch cricket and those that watch your television and film stories that you create. Let me thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause as I invite 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 on stage.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, what a beautiful conversation that allows us to really appreciate the cultural and creative pulse of our economy, and of course speaking to the risk premium that comes when we don't have the correct perception of an industry, and so beautiful to have that clarified for us. Mpho, well done on the conversation. We are dancing on moving carpets because we're making some live changes in the moment.
All right.
We are going to invite now His Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, to address us. But before His Excellency comes, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may we please ask for your attention? Thank you very much. This side of the room, I appreciate that. I'm going to make my way to this side of the room. Can we please ask for your attention? Thank you very much. And I can see the Honorable Minister 𝐬𝐿𝐴 McKenzie is helping us with quietening the room. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to proceed with our keynote speaker for the evening. We have the privilege of hearing from His Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, reflecting on the investment conference, but also bringing some insights tonight. Let's please give him a very big round of applause as he comes up. Your Excellency, please.
Let us welcome the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Paul Mashatile. Ehina.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I wanted Minister McKenzie to introduce me because he was supposed to do something earlier and he disappeared. So I said, when they were calling me, I said, no, you must go first, welcome us, introduce me. He said, yeah. But thank you very much. Let me thank the program directors, Ms. Nozipo Shabalala, Limpo Tsedu, our host, Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Mr. Pakstau, and all the ministers and deputy ministers here present. I've seen some of them this evening. Minister 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞𝐿 McKenzie, I think I saw Minister Patricia DeLille. I'm sure some of the ministers are there amongst you. Let me also greet the business leaders and investor representatives, directors general, senior government officials, and all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening once more. It is my honor to welcome you to this gala dinner after what has been a truly remarkable day of dialogue, partnership, and vision at the 6th South African Investment Conference. This conference has once again affirmed South Africa's growth and recovery and depends on robust partnership between government, business, labor, and society in general. The steps that we took this afternoon are the result of a journey that began in 2018 under the leadership and vision of President Cyril Ramaphosa when we launched the first South Africa Investment Conference. His vision positioned this conference not as a talk show, but as a delivery-focused platform to mobilize investments, unblock constraints, and drive implementation. Ever since, the investment conference has been anchored in a practical social compact that recognizes the government as a creator of an enabling environment, while the private sector brings capital, skills, and innovation. In his keynote address this morning, the President reminded us that innovation and credibility are the foundations of confidence and that our economy has remained financially stable. He noted that investors seek strong, resilient, and reform-oriented destinations, which South Africa embodies. And he said the following, I quote briefly, "As investors, you are looking to invest destinations that have strong fundamentals, that are resilient, credible, and reform-oriented, and the South African economy meets this criteria." Ladies and gentlemen, through a series of panel discussions, the opportunities in energy and critical minerals were examined, emphasizing South Africa's strategic advantages in platinum, manganese, and chrome within the global clean energy transition. All the sessions we have had were not a collection of standalone sessions. Rather, they built a coherent narrative, reform credibility, investor confidence, deployable opportunities, and global partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to echo that message tonight, that without an inch of doubt, South Africa is a premier investment destination, offering high returns through its role as Africa's most industrialized, diversified economy and a gateway into the continent of Africa. We invite you to join a journey already in motion, with results already unfolding. Partner in our digital economy, and you will connect Africa's youth to opportunity. As a nation, we are experiencing a resurgence characterized by the integration of reforms, enhancement of institutions, and the restoration of stability in critical economic sectors. Our country remains one of the most diversified economies on the African continent, and we see our economic future as inseparable from that of Africa. Of the more than 50 countries represented here, the majority are African. This reflects our shared understanding. African cooperation and integration are essential to sustained growth. This is the essence of our theme: invest, partner, prosper. Our engagement aligns directly with the objectives of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which seeks to create a single African market, deepen industrialization, and build regional value chains. Through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, investors gain access to a continental market of 1.4 billion people, while our partnerships span Europe, Asia, the Americas, and the Middle East. Ladies and gentlemen, as global value chains are reorganized, Africa offers scale, resources, a growing consumer base, and a youthful population. To harness this potential, we must strengthen regional integration, beginning with our immediate region. South Africa is committed to consolidating 𝐼𝐶𝐭 and deepening integration within SADC, a region of more than 150 million people, with significant potential for industrial expansion, infrastructure development, and cross-border investments. I must also indicate that South Africa is a nation that has proven resilience against global headwinds, from the pandemic to energy constraints. We mobilized 1.5 trillion rands in commitment between 2018 and 2023, exceeding our target as it was set earlier this morning by the President. More than 600 billion rand has already flowed into factories, mines, call centers, and technology hubs. Jobs have been created, communities uplifted, and industries modernized. This is the indication that we are committed to policy reform and certainty, to improving the ease of doing business, and to ensuring that investment supports transformation, localization, and sustainable development. Through Operation Vulindlela, we have unlocked grid access, streamlined water licensing, opened freight logistics to private participation, and reformed visas to boost tourism. Our financial governance has been strengthened, earning us our first sovereign credit rating upgrade in nearly 2 decades and removal from the FATF grey list. Through continued partnership, we will ensure that investment commitments are translated into projects into productive activity, and productive activity into decent jobs and shared prosperity. South Africa is expanding opportunities through an accelerated energy transition with renewable generation, green hydrogen, and battery storage becoming realities. Moreover, the nation is advancing its digital transformation with broadband expansion, fintech innovation, and AI infrastructure, establishing itself as Africa's digital portal. Additionally, the announcements from the platinum and gold clusters to agri-tech, manufacturing, and services confirm that capital is not waiting for reforms to begin. It is flowing into projects already underway. The investment pipeline of 284.8 billion across 66 projects is not a promise. It is a plan in motion. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight as we share this dinner, let us anchor our message in partnership. Let us commit not only to investment, but to building industries, creating jobs, and shaping futures. Together, we can turn commitments into factories, agreements into technologies, and announcements into livelihoods. Let us live here tonight with a shared pledge that the voice we spoke with today will echo tomorrow in boardrooms, in communities, and in the lives of millions of South Africans. Working together, government, business, and our African partners and other partners, we shape a future defined by growth, stability, and opportunity for all. In a nutshell, South Africa is implementing reforms. South Africa is building partnerships. South Africa is open for investments. Let us invest, let us partner, and let us prosper together. With those few words, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you to enjoy your dinner. I'm sure there will be no more speeches. We are going to relax and enjoy ourselves because you've had a long day. So you deserve to enjoy. 𝐿𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐿.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Let's give him another round of applause. I've never seen the DP so happy, but I found out the reason because this conference wasn't interdicted. So he was very, very happy. I tried to look for the Premier of the Eastern Cape. I didn't find him. I was also very excited. But ladies and gentlemen, we thank the Deputy President for his very, very encouraging speech. And indeed, let us move from commitments but to actual deliveries. All these billions that have been committed, we want to see them serving our people. Nozi, The DP said no more speeches.
Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the DP has put us a little bit in hot water, but we are going to try our best to honor. So we do want to get to dinner and to kick our shoes off and to dance together, but the business of the day would not be done without a vote of thanks. I can see my speaker for the vote of thanks giving me the sign saying, Nozi, you can cut it. But I think it's quite important that we just honor the Honorable 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞𝐻, who will speak for no more than 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, as he gives us the vote of thanks that then releases us into dinner and into a musical interlude and celebration. Honorable Minister, please, let's give him a big round of applause.
All right. Good evening to all the guests tonight. The DP said, I ran away. It was true. What he didn't know, the reason why I ran away, I asked if the MC was given my CV. And they said no. The last time I spoke, they mixed the CVs. And there was another Mackenzie, and there was me. But this Mackenzie had the MBA, he had the PhD, and they called me up, and they said, Mr. Mackenzie, he's got a PhD, he's got an MBA, and the people start clapping as I'm walking to the stage. And I had to think very fast, because I don't have an MBA, I don't have a PhD. So I went, I said, I do have an MBA. My MBA stands for Married But Available. My PhD stands for Passed High School with Difficulty. And I survived the night. So ladies and gentlemen, today was a very, very successful day. And just before I step down, we want to thank the people that made the food. We want to thank the cameramen, the videographers. We want to thank everyone that was involved. But most importantly, your commitment of 3 trillion is telling us one thing as the GNU. It tells us that you believe in the government of national unity, and we dare not disappoint you. Those ones that think the government of national unity is not forever, we all want our parties to be the only party. But I think we've entered the GNU era, and we're working very nicely together. No story illustrates it better than when the Deputy President took us to, a few months after we signed the GNU, he took us to Japan. Now, if you follow Western Cape politics, you will know that the DA and the party I belong to, the PA, are always fighting. And myself and John Steenhuisen, Minister John Steenhuisen, was on the same flight. And I don't know what is the deepest way to make peace between us. So I got to the airport and I asked the lady, is John Steenhuisen flying business or economy? They say business. I said, thanks God, give me my business class ticket. So I get in the plane. We got to Japan. The DP says, tomorrow, Minister Mackenzie, you are presenting on this subject. I got flu. I got very sick. I started thinking, I read about bird flu, this must be bird flu or something. So I said, I need to get to a chemist. I rushed to the chemist. I got there. The chemist does not understand one English sentence. Worse than that, he doesn't understand street world language. Like, he understands nothing. So I'm standing trying to explain to him. And I realized if I don't leave this chemist, this man will give me birth control tablets. I must leave. So, as I walk in the hotel, DP, the first person I meet is 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐻𝐿. He says to me, Minister, you look very sick. I said, yeah. He says, stand right here. He disappeared for 4 minutes. He came back with so many tablets. He said, take 3 of this, take 2 of this, take 1 of this. In my mind, I thought, nice try. You're not going to kill me. You're not going to kill me this far. So, I'm being collegial. I say, thank you, thank you, thank you. With zero intention of even looking at their tablets. I get to my room, I put that nonsense tablets one side, and I try to sleep. And I can't fall asleep. The next moment, I look at those tablets, I took out my phone, I took a picture of the tablets, and I sent a message to my partner. I said, baby, if I don't wake up tomorrow morning, tell the Hawks that at 6:30, 𝐬𝐿 has given me these tablets. They must check at the hotel video. He murdered me. So I took the tablets. The next day, I was feeling like $1 million. I never wanted to kiss a man, but that day, I wanted to kiss him on his forehead to say thank you. Now, if that doesn't show you that GNU is working, nothing will ever show you. I was doctored by 𝐬𝐿. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you on behalf of His Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa. I call him the glue of the GNU because he has a way of just calming us all down there. And I want to thank the Deputy President, and I want to say to everybody very sincerely here tonight that we as South Africa, we've turned the corner. The rand has stabilized. In the 3rd quarter, we've created more than 300,000 jobs. There's no more load shedding. Patricia de Lille, Minister, has made sure that we've got 10.6, because I learned from my president, I must round it. So we've got 11 million tourists that we brought into South Africa. And I want to say to everybody here that we love this country, you love this country. From here, we can only go upwards. Today, we've broken another record. We've raised more money than ever before. And 𝐾𝐨𝐬𝐿 𝐸𝐿𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐿, that's where the GNU has passed. That's what is being. So thank you very much to the pastors. I'm not going to make that mistake that I made last week. I thank the bishops. And the pastors came, they said, why didn't you thank us? So tonight, I want to thank the bishops, the pastors, the evangelists, the apostles, and even the brothers that is still wishing to become pastors. You are also thanked tonight. May God bless you. Have a good time. Thank you very much.
Please, let's give Minister 𝐬𝐿𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐿, PhD,
MBA,
MBA, and all the other accolades, another round of applause. Quite an ambassador of this country. I love the fact that that was the last speech.
100%, Paul.
Yeah, go Magaeng, he would have been Moemedi wa Diphiri. meaning he's the last person to speak. Then he announces where the food is. So, Moemedi wa diphiri, Tate Mackenzie re a go leboga. Wa itebogela le ena. Batho ba shu duba lo kovela a re tende uri zwe ra zwi ita ro swikisa henefha ndi zwezwo a u tshena zwiṅwe. Ro pfana tere. Le nkutlwile ke a tshepa le nkutlwile ke ne ke re fela ha re dumeleng hore re sebeditse ho lekane ka mokgo re sebeditseng ka teng re itebohele le rona ha bosiu bo se bo fihlile mona re tshepa hore le tla natefelwa ke seo re tla lefang sona ho tloela jwale ho fihlela ha re se re ilo aroana angazi ukuthi bofuna ngikhuluma nangesizulu.
Hayi ngiyakuzwa qhubeka.
I speak all 12.
Thank you very much, Mpho. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, knowing that we do have an international audience as well, all Mpho was saying is that we have come to the end of the formal proceedings. What happens now is an invitation to break bread together with us, to truly relax and to enjoy not only the main course and dessert that is about to follow, but also the musical interlude and performance that you are about to experience. Allow me to just say one or two things about Mandisi Jantjies, who is going to be performing tonight. And those who are applauding are those who are already in the know that he is a local and international beloved gem and really the epitome of what the cultural heart of South Africa really is. For myself, Nosipho Shabalala.
And of course, Mpho Tsedu.
From us, it's good night for now. Thank you so very much.
Maina ke a mararo, a be kgotse.
Including the specific role of the much talked about Sovereign Wealth Fund in unlocking long-term transformative investment. The people on this panel are absolutely right for this discussion. The moderator is the Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Mr. 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿 Kolimpi, and his panel consists of Mr. Patrick Dlamini, the CEO of the PIC, Dr. Phindile Masangane, the Group Executive for Programs at the DBSA, and Mr. Ronald Lamola, the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of South Africa. Mr. 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿 Kolimpi, I hand over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, moderator, and good afternoon to everyone. Brapet, good afternoon, Mrs. Phindi and Ozzy. We don't have much time. I'm told that we only have 20 minutes for this conversation, so we have to try run through it and make sense of this thing. I'm going to start with you, Brapet, because you are running the PIC, which is South Africa's pension savings institution, as it were. And the discussion about a sovereign wealth fund is essentially about building another national savings portfolio that could also be utilized for driving growth. And the idea of this conversation is for us to talk about, does South Africa have a domestic capital market that could also complement the efforts of foreign direct investment that we're drawing into South Africa? Now, people can argue that South Africa would have to first answer the question, how are we going to finance the sovereign wealth fund? There are different possibilities. Usually countries use windfall earnings from commodity earnings. So we've seen the price of gold rallying, so we potentially could use that. Countries in the Middle East have used oil for that purpose. But a less explored possibility is countries using their own internal budget surpluses. If you can push yourselves sufficiently to have enough budget surpluses, you could reinvest and. But we also have DFIs in South Africa that have been playing that role of public sector capital that enters the market space to de-risk projects where the private sector could also come in. Now, I want to start with you. You run a pension industry scheme where workers save a portion of their income in order to realize into lifelong income over time, but it's also vital for deployment into projects that are public capital projects, but also private sector projects. In your view, what would South Africa have to get right from an institutional architecture point of view to start thinking about an optimal model of building a sovereign wealth fund?
Thank you very much, DM, and good afternoon, everyone, and a warm greeting to Minister Lamola and Mrs. Phindi next to me. I think it's an overdue issue for South Africa, if you ask me. But I think I was also quite happy to see in the G20 legacy, social legacy project, that this matter was looked into quite deeply. I think it is something that as South Africa we need to make sure that we drive it much more harder, to make sure that we realize it much more sooner, because we've been speaking about this as a country that is endowed in so many minerals, the PGMs, the manganese, the chromite. Really, it says we could be generating massive royalties that could be used as a seed capital for the sovereign wealth fund. And SOE dividends as well could also be directed into that space. I think it's quite commendable what we see in the National Treasury and Ministry of Finance, the robust and management of the national fiscus. We have a room there, but what will be critical success factors for the sovereign wealth fund will be, I think, an enabling legislation by government to make sure that it is done in such a way that it lends credibility to the sovereign wealth fund as an institution, and that there is also optimal governance levels as well, because people who will have to work with this institution will have to be the likes of ourselves as the PIC, the DFIs, the private sector, because it will really be coming in to augment us as the long-term capital deployer, as well as the player in the equity space, which also at this point in time PIC will do with a number of partners. I think they could also come into the JSE much more stronger. But we look after the pensioners' money, which they need during their twilight years. Yes. And how do we make sure that during their twilight years, they also live comfortably, that there is infrastructure, that their basic needs are met. So these investments are important both from the return points of view, and they're also important to make sure that we invest in the areas that will also contribute to the comfort of the retirees.
Thanks, Private. Now, Dr. Pindi, just to build on the point that the CEO is making, you work in the DFI space. You do a lot of project financing and de-risking, early stage de-risking for private sector capital to come in. Two things. Prapet is running pensioners' money. So because it's a described benefit institution, he must be careful. So his risk appetite must be regulated, yes, because we want our money at the end of the day. When we retire, you run a DFI. A lot of what you do is also constrained by the size of your